Well, for more reaction and analysis to France's World Cup win, we're now turning to Mauricio Savarese. He's in Moscow covering the World Cup for the Associated Press. He attended today's game, taking it all in firsthand, as we see right behind you there. So, Mauricio, tell us about France here, because France was pegged as the winners even before they started this game. What made you very confident that that prediction would come true?
Well, France is one of the best generations in decades, with players like Kylian Mbappe, N'Golo Kante, and Paul Pogba, who are players that play in big leagues in Europe and who have done well in this World Cup as well. The adversaries they have faced in this World Cup could not outmatch France in any other game, so it didn't seem as if France were about to lose any of the matches they won in this World Cup. And it was no different today against Croatia. Croatia played a very nice World Cup, and then they played a nice final as well, but they could never beat France in this game. I mean, even when it was 1-1, you could see France still had control of the game and eventually would win, and that's exactly what happened in the end.
Yeah, that is what happened. But let's talk about some of the drama of this final, because the atmosphere was quite tense in parts. Tell us about what it was like to be in the stadium.
Well, it was very intense, especially if you're taking a look at the Croatian fans and all the anxiety they had to be in their first World Cup final, seeing a team that very likely is going to be the team they're going to be remembering for a very long time. I would say that when the match was 1-1, there was still a little vibe that this could be going Croatia's way, but France quickly turned that down with a very interesting moment when the first penalty marking with VAR, with video referee, was used. A controversial call, of course, but that still allowed France to go 2-1. Croatia managed to get all the neutral supporters in the stadium as well, because of their resilience and because of their hard-working team. But then in the end, it was the pockets of French supporters that actually celebrated in the end, and it was a very deserved win for France.
Yeah, well, a lot of people happy, not only in Moscow for the French national team, but also in the streets of Paris and other cities in France itself. But let's talk about FIFA and the World Cup itself. How important was this tournament? How successful was this World Cup?
Well, this World Cup was very successful for FIFA when it comes to profit. They made a lot of money, and Russia made it very easy for FIFA to make more money, including with labor laws that were more flexible toward FIFA as well. It was also a political win for the political establishment in Russia, who managed to bring the world to Russia and give a different impression. But of course, there's also things to flag. I mean, there's no idea on what's going to happen to the stadia in this World Cup. 11 stadia here, 11 host cities. Not all of them have teams in the Russian first division, and no one knows whether those stadia are going to be white elephants or not. There's also the fact that there is political upheaval in some parts of Russia. You could see that during this match when members associated with a group that is critical of President Vladimir Putin managed to enter the pitch and protest as well. So this is not a country where things are going swiftly. There's a lot of turmoil under the World Cup scene. We're going to see how that unravels after the World Cup ends, and how the political establishment works with the legacy of the World Cup in Russia. I would say that it's too early to call, but for the Russian people, this has been a great tournament because it managed to show itself to the world and to see the world a little more. We could see Russians being very open to foreigners and asking questions, very interested in what's happening in other parts of the globe, and foreigners, of course, interested in what's going on in Russia. So the consequences of this tournament are going to take a while for everyone to have a grasp of what really happened.
Okay, Mauricio, thank you for that. That's Mauricio Savarese in Moscow, covering the World Cup for the Associated Press.